Hey, I'm Yobachi with BlackPerspective.net, and you're watching Last Week on BlackPerspective.net. We're just going to go through some topics that have come up over the last week and discuss them real quick. Do this slightly different than I've done it before. I'm going to read through some of the topics that were posted on the blog this week, and then we'll kind of go back and just discuss a few things. The first topic of last week was, Ronald Burris was asked to raise money for the Senate seat. Octuplet mom sets up a website for donations. Live video of A-Royd steroid press conference. I think it says A-Rod, but A-Royd works. Howard Witt to speak in Nashville. Ronald Burris lied again. He did try to raise money for the Senate seat. Obama's housing foreclosure plan. Exclusive. Chris Brown explains why he hit Rihanna. Police photo of Rihanna after beating. And the post I put up yesterday, President Obama, keep your word on Darfur. So let me talk about this Ronald Burris thing first. He's the guy from Illinois who was appointed to Barack Obama's Senate seat after he became president by Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich. Well, now former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich, as he was removed from being governor by the Illinois legislature due to the fact that he was caught by the FBI trying to sell the Senate seat to prospective candidates. With that situation is, as I was saying and many others, that Blagojevich should not have been allowed to appoint anyone to the Senate seat, no matter who it was, even if it did turn out to be a good and decent person, because Blagojevich was so tainted and you couldn't trust anything he did or anyone he appointed after trying to sell the seat off. So when Burris was appointed and the Illinois State Attorney General Jesse White, who was also black, would not certify him for the seat because the Secretary of State has to certify all elections. There were people coming out with all kinds of recriminations. There were some black folk coming out with all kinds of recriminations, including people like Bobby Rush, who is the representative in the Congress from the Chicago area of Illinois, saying that that he dares the Senate not to seat Rod Burris, as because the Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid was saying that they weren't going to seat anyone who Blagojevich appointed. That was before he appointed Burris. But then Bobby Rush and other black folk were talking this nonsense about all-white Senate, because Obama was the only black senator, and so once he became president, there were no black senators. And so while me and others definitely would love for us to have more black senators, some of us believe about going about doing things the right way. So I said, no, I don't care if Blagojevich tries to appoint a black guy. He shouldn't be appointing anybody. He's tainted. You can't trust anything he does. And so it turns out that Burris lied. He lied before the Illinois legislature when he testified under oath that he was not contacted about raising or giving money to Blagojevich in order to get the seat. He came out last weekend and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, I was contacted to do that numerous times." And he said, then he came out and when he said that, he said that he was asked to do that, but he turned it down flat. He didn't do anything to try to raise any money or give any money to Blagojevich. Then he comes out a few days later and was like, "Oh yeah, I did try to raise money for Blagojevich, but I was just unsuccessful in doing so." So anyway, this is why Jesse White wouldn't certify him, and this is why people like myself, some black folks like myself, were against Blagojevich appointing anyone. So we wouldn't be in this type of situation. But nonetheless, that didn't stop black people from having called Jesse White a sellout. Nobody said that to me, but by implication, if he's a sellout, then I must be one too. And after this past week, I haven't heard anybody apologize to Jesse White for being right. But you know how that goes. Everybody's loud and wants to run their mouth up front, but when things don't work out the way that they claimed, or after they make accusations and they're proven to be on the wrong side of it, they don't want to come back and correct the record or apologize or say anything. They just get real quiet. It's been hush hush this past week by all them folk. But this is what it's all about, because I want a black senator, as I said, and hope we get more black representatives in the Senate and in other parts of government. But when you go about promoting people and supporting black candidates just because they're black, no matter what. You end up with cities like Baltimore, and you end up with cities like Detroit, and these places where you have all these black representatives in government, and these are some of the places where black people are doing the worst. So having criminals in government just because they have a black face doesn't work for me. And some of us like to stand on principle, even though others might have a problem with that. Just want any black face in office. Forget that as far as I'm concerned. Obama also came out with his housing foreclosure plan this week to deal with the home mortgage crisis and the freezing up of lending by the banks due to that crisis, which has been the cause of most of the economic collapse, been the genesis, what really started the downturn. Now many people say we shouldn't bail out people who didn't count the cost and didn't do what they were supposed to do, took mortgages they knew they couldn't afford or should have known. Hey, I agree with that sentiment in a general sense. In the cases when it's an isolated incident, and people who can't understand the concept of a balloon payment shouldn't be signing the contract for a house mortgage in the first place. Not very difficult to understand. You just got to bother to read what you're signing and not lie about your stated income. But therein lies the problem. Why were banks allowing people to take home mortgages and giving them hundreds of thousands of dollars based on them just stating their income and it not being verified? And this is where all the whole issue comes in. It's not just a couple of isolated individuals who are having a problem, or a few number of people. There is a crisis in mortgage foreclosures due to a systematic approach that went on in the banking system, where they allow people they knew couldn't afford to pay the mortgages to get these mortgages and giving them hundreds of thousands of dollars based on not verifying anything, and with people who had bad credit for a reason, which is why they normally didn't qualify for mortgages, but the banks gave them to them anyway. Then they bundled them all up and shipped them off to other financial institutions, sold them off to other financial institutions, got these huge bonuses of money up front, and they made their money and ran with it. But then all these other financial institutions end up being caught holding the bag with these bad assets that were bundled that they didn't even know what's in them, which is all a whole stupid system that shouldn't have been. But nonetheless, the bottom line is now the situation is what it is. And even if you did what you were supposed to do, like I do what I'm supposed to do and pay my bills and don't borrow money I can't afford to pay back, the problem is it's drugged down the entire economy. We are where we are right now, needing a stimulus package and having all these financial problems because of this mortgage crisis. And as I was saying before, the stimulus package, which I didn't like, and I do like this foreclosure plan much better because it's more of a plan with continuity as opposed to the stimulus package, which was just a hodgepodge of a lot of things thrown together, a lot of them that don't have anything to do with stimulating the economy. But what the issue is right now, if it's somebody else's fault that there were no levees built and no dikes built to stop the flood waters from coming into your city, the fact that it's not your fault isn't going to stop you from drowning. So if the water is coming and you're about to be under the water, you have to do something to stop the flood in this moment, rather than standing around talking about whose fault it is. It's not your fault, so you shouldn't have to do any work to stop the flood. You can stand there and say that, but then you're going to drown to death. It makes a lot more sense to me that you do something to stop the flood and worry about taking care of whose fault it is at another time, or doing whatever you need to do as far as that goes. But that doesn't negate the need to stop the flood. Otherwise, we all drown together. It's just a clear fact that this mortgage crisis was dragging down the economy, and if you don't put a plug in the dike, we're going to be in worse shape, and we all are going to be affected. When everybody's being foreclosed on and banks aren't loaning any money, and your company isn't making any money because everybody's being foreclosed on, and so they have to start laying people off, you're going to be affected when you're laid off, when houses in your neighborhood are boarded up and you got crackheads living in them. It's dragging down your home price. So whether you did what you were supposed to do or not doesn't change the fact that this problem is affecting you. It's going to affect you one way or another. So we might want to do something about it rather than all of us drown together. That's just, hey, only thing makes sense to me. I had more commentary, but it's running too long. So just go to blackperspective.net and check it all out. And if you watched the video this long, go ahead and rate me and subscribe.